At the 62nd annual SOT meeting in Nashville, the toxicology community gathers to discuss the latest innovation and research in toxicology. With more than 70 featured and scientific sessions, 2,000 presentations, and 5,000 attendees, the meeting covers everything from microplastics to wildfires. And SOT TV is right here to show you some of the highlights you just can't miss. Hi everybody, welcome to Music City and episode 2 of SOT TV 2023. I'm Max Winitz. As toxicologists attend sessions on a wide range of topics, we're here to cover some of the highlights. We discover more about the use of protein degradation in therapeutics and cover some of the latest developments in toxicology from organizations around the globe. We learn about implications of cannabis contaminants on public health, and why the intersection of toxicology and aging is going to be so very relevant in the future. We hear more about the many exciting career opportunities in toxicology and some of the applications of cell painting in tox research. As you can see, we have a very exciting program coming up, so stay tuned for our first topic. You're watching SOT TV. We are being joined right now by Dr. Lucilia Mores. She is a senior scientific program manager at HESI near Washington, D.C. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me a little bit about, sort of in a nutshell, targeted protein degraders. What exactly are they?
So targeted protein degraders are a novel class of therapeutics that have the potential to target difficult to treat disease by targeting proteins that have been previously not successful in being targeted. They do that by recruiting the endogenous proteasome system of the cells, which is what nature gave the cells to get rid of unwanted proteins. And in doing so, they are targeting specific disease-causing proteins, which will then be completely degraded or inhibited by the proteasome system.
And what are some of the therapeutic opportunities for protein degraders?
So essentially, currently the ones that are mainly developed are targeting cancer applications. Looking at the recent data, there are about 28 target protein degraders in various phases of clinical development, and 25 of them are targeting cancer applications. The ones that are not for cancer applications, it will involve skin disease, alopecia, and there are new emerging applications that are being explored as well, not yet in clinical development, but look promising regarding infectious disease. So targeting proteins from bacteria and viruses instead of proteins from human disease. And I will also add another application beyond the pharmaceutical sector, which agrobiotechnology companies are developing to help crop protection and disease prevention in plants, with the promise that the long-standing effect of targeted protein degraders and the low dose required for them to be effective, that will be a great advantage compared to the tons of chemicals currently distributed in the lands.
And what sort of challenges are you and other researchers facing right now when it comes to targeted protein degraders?
So there are a few challenges. Most of them are related to their unique physicochemical properties. So these are larger molecules, usually complexes involving various molecules. So larger than small traditional pharmaceuticals. And with that, there are unknown mechanisms of absorption and distribution, which are aspects that are critical when evaluating those molecules before reaching the market to ensure their safety. So some of these challenges will impact the way the drugs are evaluated for safety assessment. Some of the methods traditionally used for small molecules may be applicable, but may also require some adaptation or new ways to do these safety assessments, which brings me to a session that will be presented here at SOT on Wednesday, co-chaired by Professor Ruth Roberts, and my colleague at HESI, Connie Mitchell, will be presenting a full session on promises and challenges of protein-targeted degraders, and specifically on safety challenges.
Okay, so that is Wednesday here at Music City Center. Any idea of the time?
Wednesday morning, 8 a.m., so wake up early and join us.
If you want to learn about targeted protein degraders. All right, well, thank you, Dr. Morris, and I really appreciate your time, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure.
Organizations from across the globe are innovating toxicology research and technologies to improve human, animal, and environmental health. Let's take a closer look at some of the fascinating work they do. Well, it's been known for many years that animal testing is an imperfect predictor for how drugs and treatments will react with humans. The Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine is here to implement creative new approaches for testing that will help humans and animals alike.
It's been known for many years that other animals are not the best predictors of human outcomes. The toxicology work that we do at the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine aims to help accelerate toxicology by improving the methods that are used by toxicologists in regulatory decision-making while moving away from animal use.
Development of new science is important to the Physicians Committee's work because advancing science is how we move forward.
Toxicologists want to use the best methods available to answer the safety questions they face every day. They need to feel confident to use a new approach. We offer trainings and new approach methodologies to help provide this confidence.
My hope is that the momentum that we have been seeing, especially in recent years, where we see wonderful partnerships between industry, government, and people who just want to see the world be a better place, I want to see those partnerships continue to bear fruit, and I'm confident that they will.
We're turning now to the trailblazing research happening at the Tanguay Laboratory at Oregon State University. This state-of-the-art facility is really a pioneer in the study of predictive toxicology utilizing a surprising specimen, zebrafish.
The Tanguay Laboratory is interested in identifying the chemicals in the environment that might perturb human or environmental health. We use the zebrafish for all of our research questions, and there's a lot of reasons why the zebrafish is an ideal model. First of all, it's a vertebrate like humans, so they share a lot of similar genes, and gene functions are conserved across species. That's been known now with comparative genomics. But now we can also demonstrate that chemicals that are known to produce harm to humans do the same thing in zebrafish. Data streams that we're getting in zebrafish, multi-omics analysis, for example, and high throughput concentration response modeling, I think we're going to get closer to doing predictive bioactivity and predictive toxicology. So I think the whole field will realize that goal. We'll be able to make, high-performing products that are safe. So that's an exciting area that I hope we continue to contribute.
We are being joined right now by Dr. Maxwell Leung of Arizona State University, an assistant professor. This is really an interesting topic, cannabis contaminants. First of all, what are some of the common contaminants found in cannabis, and where are they coming from?
So I'm interested in environmental contaminant in cannabis, and by environmental contaminants, there are 5 specific categories. So pesticides that are introduced during the growing process, solvent, toxic element that can be introduced from the environment, including metals and arsenic, and there are also microbial pathogen and fungal toxin. Those are the 5 categories.
From the research you've done, what are some of the effects these contaminants may have on consumers of cannabis?
So there are 2 major effects that are most concerning. So one of the effects is neurotoxicity. And with neurotoxicity, I'm talking about specifically to chemicals such as pesticides, metals, and solvent. The other category of harmful effects that are most concerning is the one caused by microbial pathogen. So those are pathogens that can produce opportunistic infection. And for the first one, for patients who have susceptible neurological diseases that can be of concern. And for the second one, since cannabis is often used with patients that are immunocompromised, patients that have cancer or AIDS or HIV, the pathogen that can cause opportunistic infection, those can be really dangerous.
Well, we are seeing more and more states pass, whether it be medical marijuana bills or recreational bills. In your mind, the discussions involving these contaminants, is that being talked about enough?
We actually have looked into the media coverage in states that have legalized cannabis versus states that do not have legalized products, the cannabis. And the states that have do not have legalized cannabis, the media coverage tend to focus on the criminalization, and the legality with cannabis. But in the state that, including Arizona, that have legalized cannabis, there are more attention on contaminant issue in cannabis. So that's what we see.
And how, if at all, I assume they are being regulated, but how do you regulate these contaminants?
Right now, there are about 28 jurisdictions in the US that have legalized cannabis. Usually in this state, they have some kind of cannabis testing program. And the program, how is it implemented, what contaminants are being regulated, and what level they are being regulated is different vastly.
And do you feel that there need to be some reforms, some changes to the current regulations?
So we focus on the science that support policy. We don't make recommendation for policy, but I want to comment on data availability. Because if you look at all the other raw agricultural commodities that are being sold in the US, there are a federal program to collect the data and report it in the public domain, such as the pesticide data program in USDA. But in cannabis, that is not the case. There are tremendous amounts of resources spent on testing all these cannabis products, but there are very, very limited information that come out. In fact, the EHP paper that I talk about, that's the only major data deposit of the contaminant data in the open literature right now. Extremely
fascinating topic, something that is very topical right now. You mentioned the news coverage. So congratulations on all you've accomplished and everything moving forward at Arizona State University. We really appreciate your time and insight.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, we are being joined right now by Dr. Johnny Wise, an assistant professor of pediatrics at University of Louisville, also the best dressed guy at the SOT conference this year. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for this opportunity.
Fascinating topic here, talking about the impacts of toxins and aging. Why is it so important in your mind that we learn more about that impact on the population?
Lifespan differences is something that's part of the NIH mission, but a lot of, especially when we talk about the geriatric side, a lot of that's been ignored in toxicology because geriatrics are considered, at the end of their life, close to death. Toxicology is not as much of a concern, but we're facing an aging crisis where in 7 years now, 2030, 20% of our population is going to be geriatric. And not only that, but they're going to live as geriatrics for another 30, 40 years, because average lifespan has increased 70 years in the last 100 years. So that's enough time for someone to be exposed to something and develop cancer or neurodegenerative disease or cardiovascular disease or something like that. So we really need to know a lot more about the age side of toxicology.
Why can toxins affect older people differently than children, let's say?
So broadly speaking, children have a developing biology, adults have a mature biology, and geriatrics have a degenerating biology. So that's 3 different contexts for a chemical to interact. And we already know that children and adults have different responses. Geriatrics, we know a little bit, mostly about polypharmacy, and a little bit about heat stress or air pollution. But again, it's largely unknown. And there are no regulations to protect them as a vulnerable population from environmental toxins.
You mentioned something called toxic aging coin in your session. Explain that, please.
So this is term that I came up with to kind of grasp the two-sided challenge that we're facing. On the head side, we talk about the age differences that I just mentioned, young versus middle-aged versus geriatric. On the tail side, we talk about how chemicals accelerate aging, about how they act as a gerontogen. This is a term that was coined in 1987 by George Martin. Hasn't really been used since. I mean, if you look on PubMed, there's 3 publications in the last 20 years, 30 years. If you look on Google Scholar, there's 70. So it's a really untouched topic, and we don't really know what chemicals are gerontogens. I'm proposing heavy metals as a class of gerontogens, and I'm starting down that path.
And finally, what other exciting things do you have going on up at U of L when it comes to this particular topic?
So to tackle this toxic aging coin, we have a variety of models that we're working with. The core one that we're starting with is a rat model where we have 3 different ages. We're looking at hexavalent chromium in the drinking water. We're also doing work with African turquoise killifish, which is it's about the size of a betta fish, and they have the shortest vertebrate lifespan that we know of. Because they come from ephemeral pools in sub-Saharan Africa, they only live 4 to 6 months from hatching to dying of old age. So that makes a really exciting model for aging studies.
You have a lot of interesting things going on. We really appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure.
We are SOT TV, your daily news show featuring interviews and discussions on hot topics in toxicology from this year's SOT meeting. You can catch us around the convention center in Nashville, in select hotels, on the SOT website, social media, and YouTube. With new content each day of the meeting, make sure to keep watching. Now we're taking a look at some of the different career paths early career scientists interested in toxicology could take. Stay tuned for more.
You know, I tell people all the time, you know, toxicology is the basis of a lot of what we do. Before a product can come on the market, it has to have a toxicology assessment. Before a pharmaceutical product can go on the market, it has to have a toxicology assessment. And so, you know, without toxicology, we wouldn't have a lot of things. And so it's really a basis of a lot of the products and a lot of the medicines and things that we currently use today. So it's very important.
Yeah, when I was a child, I actually wanted to be an architect, but it did not turn out that way. And my career in toxicology actually started as a chemist. I'm originally from Istanbul, Turkey, so I got my bachelor in science in chemistry in Istanbul, then moved to United Kingdom to get my PhD. And I got my PhD in organic chemistry from University of Newcastle upon Tyne. And during the last year of my PhD program, we had a professor visiting from University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and he really liked my research and asked me if I would consider joining his laboratory as a postdoctoral fellow. So this is how I started in a toxicology program. But the following year, I went to Society of Toxicology. That was my first meeting at SOT, and it was love at first sight. And I was amazed to see how chemistry could be integrated with the toxicological studies. So this is when I made my decision that I really wanted a career in toxicology, still use my expertise in chemistry.
I kind of fell into toxicology. When I was in undergrad, I worked in the microbiology lab, and I loved it. I loved the research, and I thought I wanted to be a microbiologist. Well, I applied to the microbiology department at UAMS, and unfortunately, I didn't have the background in microbiology to go into the PhD program. So they sent my application over to the Tox. They thought I would be a good fit for the toxicology program. So I got an interview, I went in, and I loved it, and that's where I've been ever since. You know, a lot of people don't know about toxicology, and you know, they're kind of scared of it. But it's very interesting, and it's a broad range of areas that you can go into. Academia, industry, environmental consulting, litigation, toxic tort. So that's really big now, and toxicologists are needed. And so it's not a narrow field of work or study. It's so broad, and there's so many things you can do with a toxicology degree.
Right now, I am part of actually a training program. It's called NAMS Pilot Training Program. And my role is a technical expert when there's a need for the technical questions on the science part that I help my team. I work with a great team. and we are developing trainings for NAMS tools at EPA. So my title right now is Research Outreach and Communications Specialist.
I'm in environmental consulting, and so I pretty much do a wide range of things. I've done litigation support, I've done product safety, product stewardship, risk communication, risk assessment, public safety. I've helped with, companies when they have accidental exposures to different chemicals. I, talk to their employees. I talk to the healthcare workers to give them a little information about whatever chemical, is in question. And so I've kind of done a lot of different things.
For me, it wasn't a straightforward path. As I said, I didn't start as a toxicologist, but now I'm a board certified toxicologist. That's based on the influences I actually got from my coworkers and different things that I took on throughout my career. Be part of the mentoring events and don't be afraid of asking questions. And one thing that I wish that I was told at the time is there's no straightforward path really, and somebody else's journey is not yours. So create your own path and go for what you really want to do.
All right, we are being joined right now by Dr. Josh Harrell. He's a toxicologist, specifically a cellular and molecular toxicologist with the U.S. EPA based in North Carolina. Doc, thanks for joining us here at the conference.
No, thank you for having me.
What is cell painting? Explain that, and what is it? What's it currently used for?
Happy to. So cell painting is what we call a high content imaging assay that uses fluorescent microscopy and fluorescent probes to label the various structures or organelles within cultured cells, and then measure changes in the cell's morphology or appearance in response to chemical stressors or genetic perturbations.
What are some of the applications of cell painting in toxicological research?
Right. So the cell painting assay was developed primarily in the drug discovery space, but is finding more and more use across different areas of toxicology. What we propose to use it for at EPA is determining what we call molecular points of departure. So that's the threshold dose where any changes or perturbations in cellular biology begin to occur. We also use it for grouping chemicals that have similar bioactivity profiles, and also for trying to infer something about the mechanisms that these chemicals may be acting through.
And how do you see this developing in the years to come?
There's a lot of exciting things going on. There's several consortium that are out there that are trying to use this assay in a collaborative fashion to predict in vivo toxicity, predict toxicity in rats. The assay was originally developed in a cancer cell line, but it's actually compatible with many different human and animal derived cell lines. So the idea there is to, if you could deploy the assay across many different cell types, you can survey different aspects of biology.
And anything here at the conference when it comes to cell painting that you hope to spread the word on, or is it just that as a whole, cell painting and talking about the future of this initiative?
Absolutely. So we have a great session on Thursday morning, which will have the inventors of the cell painting assay actually giving a talk, Dr. Ann Carpenter, as well as some others who are trying to use this assay in agrochemical development, myself at EPA, and in the drug discovery arena. We're really just looking for creative thought. We think the assay's got a lot of potential for a lot of different applications, so happy to talk with anybody who has some ideas about it.
Okay. Dr. Josh Harrell, U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, thanks so much for your time. Enjoy the conference.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's it for our second day here at the 62nd annual SOT meeting. It has been a busy one here in Music City. Tomorrow, we'll highlight some of the latest developments in toxicology, from the impact of wildfires to AI. Before then, you can watch the show here at the Convention Center, in your hotel room, and online. And don't forget to subscribe and follow SOT TV on social media. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.